Hi guys! Welcome back to another video. So glad you could join me today, and well, if you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm glad you could stop by and I hope you enjoy the video. I'm sorry it's been quite a while since I've released one. Things did get quite busy, so I did have to put this on hold for a little while. But I am back for now, so hopefully things don't get too hectic so I can stick around for a little while longer. So as you can see here, I am just starting off with the background. Before I started recording the video, I did go ahead and already sketch our portrait. I didn't want to do that on camera since it takes a long time, and I'm not sure if you guys enjoy watching that process, so if you do, actually let me know, so I will continue doing it. But for the meantime, I'm just going to start sketching out our portrait and then starting with the background. I thought that would save time and, well, be a little bit more interesting. So our background for this portrait is a little different compared to our other ones. It's a bit more modern, which I thought was a pretty good idea to start doing with some of my portraits, because I often keep it to my story where it's based in nature, which doesn't really help me if I ever need something in a modern setting. So I'm going to try and start doing modern settings and doing nature settings. I thought that was a good idea. Oh, we'll see how that goes. Right now I'm also doing a shadow in the background because the light is coming in front of our girl, so it would often lead to a shadow behind her. So that's what I did now. And I did just do a time skip. I already went ahead and blocked her in with color because that also takes quite a while, so I saved us time and just went ahead and did that. And I also selected a bit of the shadow in the background, which looks like stairs, and I copied it and brought it forward, and I colored it black, but I did lower the opacity to 41, so you can still see the girl underneath, so it just looks like a shadow. If I remember correctly, I don't think I kept this because I wasn't quite happy with how it turned out, but of course your opinion is always welcome, so if you actually ended up liking it, do let me know. Because maybe I can go ahead and add it to the photo again. So I'm just busy adding in some shadows. This is actually a kind of an inspiration from my story, but not really. In my story, if you look in the girl's hand right now, you'll see there's a gem there. So in my story there is a gem. But I haven't really experimented with any paintings with one in it, since this gem is very particular, and with touch or some or other activation, it lights up and lets off a really bright light source. So I thought it'd be really fun to actually bring it into a painting as well, being that this painting was kind of an inspiration for my art prop this month. Imagination. So I thought I might as well just combine those two things together. But you'll see I will do the skin like normal, where I just focus on the one light source, and then I'll add in the gem's bright orange glow in later. So you will see that happen the more I go with the skin. But I think the orange light source comes in a bit later. So right now I'm just blocking in the shadows. This part of the drawing I was actually quite worried, like I wasn't actually sure if I did it right, but this is when the saying trust the process comes in, and well, I just kind of went through with it, and I'm actually glad I did, because it turned out really well and it made it look a whole lot better. Also, if any of you who have watched my previous video, my Grace portrait, she was an OC from my story. You'll probably notice in that one my lighting wasn't exactly perfect. So this drawing was also a art light study, because I've brought in a few light sources and I want to see how well I can incorporate it into my drawing. So that was actually the main inspiration for this drawing. And everything else I did basically around it. I don't really have a story for this one either. It was something I kind of came up with as I went. But what I have so far is that maybe this scene happened like many years later after when my story was written, being that my story was written in a medieval time. And this is clearly modern 2000s, you know. So maybe she came across this gem. I'm not sure which one, being that I have quite a few gems in my story. I have a wind gem that basically controls weather, and then I do have a special gem that's a dragon gem, where if you come from a certain bloodline, you will have the capability of unlocking this power and transforming into a dragon. Of course, it's not set in stone yet, and that idea of my story I am still working out since I haven't quite gotten to it yet. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe she is like a descendant way down the line, and maybe she's come of the legal age where she is allowed to have access to this gem. I did try to have a look of wonder, but also slight curiosity on her face. Expressions is something I do have to practice as well, being that that's something which I haven't quite got down yet. Being that getting it through the eyes and the facial features is quite difficult, but with time I hope I will get better at it though, so only practice will tell. So as you can see, like normal, I always start with the skin after doing the background. It basically sets up my light source and the environment, and also the lighting behind will play a huge part into the tones of her skin. Of course, these are all things I am learning as I go. I am definitely not perfect and I don't have everything down yet. But I would like to share the things I have learned with you guys as I do it. Like how to put lighting on the face. That is something I am learning still. Like where to put it and where will have the best result. I think I did a pretty good job with this one. Not sure. Yes, so as you can see right now, I am working with the gem. Just busy adding in its strong light, and then I think I go ahead and add that light source next onto the skin. But yeah, it is quite a vibrant light, so I definitely wanted to bring that across. I do wish that I had done the gem a little better though, now that I look back on it. So maybe one day when I actually do a scene from my story with my main character, I will have the gem made better. Not sure. Ah, there we go. So you can see I took the orange light from the gem and I went ahead and put it onto our character here. As you watch, I will definitely layer the orange lighting quite a lot, and you will slowly see it become more vibrant. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I'll be back once I've finished it. now that the skin is relatively done, I move on to the next thing, the lips, of course. And earlier I did add in some dark eyeshadow. I think it gives her a more mysterious look, something I was kind of going for, I guess. And I think I'm adding in some more orange lighting over here, really trying to bring that aspect across, being that it is a very strong light source. And just finishing up the skin some more. Something I've learnt over the past few years while drawing is that drawing skin, you are basically never finished. You can layer it and layer it as much as you want, and well, the more you layer it, the more detail you get through. And I think that's kind of the same for everything anyway. Like hair, I know you can layer that over and over again and the result will really be amazing in the end. Although I think there is a fine line where you layer hair a bit too much and you can overdo it. Lips though, I find that if you keep it simple but use the colors quite strong colors, it's the best result. I'm still busy learning how to do the lips properly, but I think I'm getting better. But I don't think I've ever had a problem with lips. As you can see here too, I also went ahead and added in a orange light to her lips. That's also important. Something I did actually try to keep in mind while doing this drawing is that the light doesn't always reflect off of the skin. It can reflect off of any body part. So I try to do it in the eyes, the lips, and you will see I'll do it later in the hair as well, and definitely her top. So yeah, but I did enjoy doing the eyes the most. If you watch, you will see that I paid quite close attention to it. But now that I've been drawing a bit more in the meantime while editing this video, I do wish I'd done the eyes just slightly differently, but I still really like the end result. It was actually a lot of fun too. Also, is it just me, or do any of you find drawing, when you draw the eyes, the drawing becomes so much more realistic? I'm not sure. I really like doing the eyes. That's why I kind of leave that after the skin, and then I move on to the next body parts, because if the eyes and the skin to me don't really match up, then the drawing, and if it doesn't look right, then the drawing doesn't really work. So that's why I always do those two after each other. So you can see here I'm also adding in the orange hues. I definitely used a lot of orange in this drawing. Oh. So it is basically just a light study. It's not very interesting. I don't really have a story for it, so sorry about that. But I do hope through my trials and errors, maybe you guys have learned something from this too. That is always what I hope for though whenever I'm drawing. That through my struggles you guys learn something. Or that through my struggles you guys could maybe suggest something in the comments. I'm not sure. I'm always open to suggestions and stuff and tips, being that I am fairly new. I have only been doing art for about 3 years now, I think, though digital only 1.5 years, not sure, maybe 1. I did start out like everybody else doing traditional, and then I've got my hands on a drawing pad after drawing with my mouse on my computer on Photoshop. So that was basically how digital art started for me. I started on Photoshop just drawing on my computer with my mouse pad. And let me tell you, it did not go so well either. Oh well. I guess we all start there, and then we then once we know we're serious enough, then we move on to the drawing pads and the much more expensive things. Anyway, I did use a new airbrush to get that nice soft wool effect on the top. I wish I knew what it was called though, because it's all in Japanese, but I think it's a wool effect brush though. I really wish I knew what the name was though, so I could recommend it. But it comes in the Clip Studio file though, so maybe you guys will be able to find it if you have Clip Studio. Oh, but to add the lighting onto the top, I did make a new layer and clip it to the layer below. And I used an airbrush, and then I just smoothed it out with a blur tool, I think, or smudge tool, not sure. Alright, now I'm busy mucking around with the lines, seeing if I want to keep them in or not. I like to experiment while drawing. And now I'm just busy doing the hair. This is actually the longest part of the drawing besides the skin, the hair. I have been watching a few tutorials, and I just treat it like a huge shape, and I just block in where I want the dark colors, and then after that I'd go ahead and add in the lighter colors. So the hair, I keep it a brown original color, and then I go ahead and add in the orange glows afterwards, like I have with everything else. It saves time and a lot of effort too. I think I need to practice doing hair more. I do think her hair came out a lot better than my last portrait. The other one was a lot more blocky, and I do want to actually go back and fix that at some point. So maybe I'll do that. I did not lock this layer though, because I want the hair to almost feel free and flowy. So I went ahead, and to blur, I went ahead and used a painterly blur, I think it was. I can't remember what the name was, but or you can use a smudge tool that also works, or a finger painting blur tool as well, a smudge tool I mean. Those all work and I recommend them. But I also recommend you don't lock your layer as well. So you could just pull the strands out so they look like they have volume as well. Because if we look at hair, it's not always clean. We always got strands going all over the place, and well, basically it's never looks clean like it is in drawings. So I often try and bring that across in my drawings, and I feel like I didn't really do that in my last one either. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm trying to just give it a bit more volume and more realistic feels. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish the hair, and then I'll be back with you guys when I'm done. And we are finished with the hair, so now we are going to move on to the gem. So as you can see here, I'm busy adding in like almost light beams. I haven't done this before with the gem or anything like a strong light source, so this was a huge experiment for me. And I did muck around with it for quite a while. I lowered some opacity, brought some opacity up. I even made different layers and I changed the colors as well. But if you look here as well, which I'm really glad I did, I went ahead and brought some of the light beams through my character's fingers. It gave it a more realistic feel, like the light was really bursting out of the gem. So I did end up keeping that, but I just switched off the layer just so I could add in some final details before I continue. For some odd reason, I always struggle with blush on a character. I'm not sure why, maybe I overdo it, but I just struggle with that for some reason. So as you can see now, I'm just going ahead and finishing up the beams. I went ahead and made another layer, but I ended up deleting it because it was a bit too much. So yeah. I'm glad I added in the beam though. It gave it a much more mysterious, magical feel, which was quite nice. Now that the beams from the gem are finished, that pretty much wraps up the end of the video. I'm so glad you guys stayed for the entire video, and if you want to follow me, I am on Instagram, DeviantArt, and Facebook. They of course will be linked in the description below. And well, that pretty much wraps it up. I'll see you guys next time. I'll try and post again soon. Bye for now.